The voicemail hit my phone at 2:17 a.m. I was half asleep on the couch in my tiny apartment above the garage I'd turned into an office, the kind of place people call cozy when they're being polite. The screen lit up my face like a ghost. Unknown number. One new voicemail. 32 seconds long. I hit play before I could talk myself out of it. A man's voice, calm, professional, slightly tired like he'd said this too many times already. Mr. Alex Carter. This is Harlan Whitaker, attorney at law. I've been trying to reach you for 6 months. Your mother hid something that changes everything. Something your grandfather left specifically for you. Meet me before she finds out you know. Tomorrow 11 a.m. Coffee shop on Maple and 5th. Come alone. Don't tell anyone. Please. Click. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard I thought it might crack one. Played it again. Then again. Each time the words felt heavier, like stones dropping into still water. Your mother hid something. Your grandfather left specifically for you. Don't tell anyone. I hadn't spoken to my mother in 21 years. Not since the night she opened the front door during a thunderstorm, grabbed my arm so tight her nails left half moons in my skin, dragged me outside in my socks, and shoved a black trash bag of my clothes at my chest. You're 11 now, she said, rain plastering her hair to her face. Old enough to understand you're not wanted here anymore. Go. Run away. Disappear. I don't care. Just don't come back. I stood there frozen on the cracked concrete porch while she slammed the door. The lock clicked. The porch light flicked off. I was 11 years old and suddenly the entire world was dark and wet and very, very quiet except for the rain hitting the trash bag in my hands. I walked 3 miles that night. Socks soaked through, shoes forgotten inside. By the time I reached Grandpa's house my teeth were chattering so hard I could barely speak. He opened the door in his old flannel robe, saw my face and didn't ask questions. Just pulled me inside, wrapped me in every blanket he owned, made hot chocolate with the good marshmallows and called the police. They came. They took statements. My mother told them I'd run away after a fight. Said I was troubled. Said she'd reported me missing already. Grandpa fought for months, 17 court petitions over 3 years. Every single one denied. The judge kept saying the same thing. The child chose to leave. The mother has custody. Case closed. Grandpa never gave up trying, but the system didn't care about a skinny kid with no proof. Eventually the visits stopped because my mother threatened restraining orders. She told everyone I'd abandoned the family. That I was ungrateful. That I'd chosen the streets over them. I didn't choose anything. I was thrown out like garbage. After that night I bounced between emergency shelters, group homes, foster placements that never lasted longer than 6 months. I learned fast. Don't get attached, don't trust promises, don't cry where anyone can see you. I worked under the table jobs, washing dishes, mowing lawns, delivering newspapers before school. At 14 I lied about my age to stock shelves at a hardware store. At 16 I got my GED because I refused to let high school be another thing she took from me. I built everything from nothing. No safety net. No second chances handed to me. Just stubbornness and the memory of that porch light going out. Now I was 32. I owned a small logistics app company, nothing flashy, but it paid the bills, employed 12 people, and let me sleep without worrying about rent. I changed my last name legally to my grandfather's when I turned 18. Carter was hers. I didn't want any part of it. And then this voicemail. I sat on the couch until sunrise staring at my phone. Part of me wanted to delete it and pretend it never happened. Another part, the part that still woke up some nights hearing that door slam, needed to know. What could she possibly have hidden after all these years? What did Grandpa leave that was worth a lawyer tracking me down in the middle of the night? And why the warning? Don't tell anyone. I showered, put on the only clean button-down I owned, and drove to Maple and 5th. The coffee shop smelled like burnt espresso and cinnamon rolls. Harlan Whitaker was already there, gray suit, silver hair, folder on the table in front of him like it weighed 100 pounds. He looked up when I walked in. "Alex," he said quietly. "You came." I slid into the booth across from him. "Tell me what she hid," I said. "And don't leave anything out." He opened the folder. What he showed me first made the room tilt. It was a copy of my grandfather's will, dated 3 months before the night she kicked me out. And there, circled in red ink, was a single line that changed every story I'd ever told myself about why she did it. Harlan slid the photocopy across the scratched laminate table. My grandfather's will. The paper was yellowed at the edges, official-looking, stamped and notarized. I recognized his careful, slanted handwriting immediately, the same way he used to sign birthday cards with little stick-figure drawings of fishing poles because he knew I loved the lake behind his house. I scanned down to the circled line. Clause 7. B. In the event that any beneficiary under this trust is determined to have been willfully abandoned or constructively removed from the family unit by a custodial parent or guardian prior to attaining the age of majority, said beneficiary's share shall immediately vest in full, with interest and penalties assessed against the responsible party for any misappropriation or concealment of assets. Furthermore, any forged or fraudulent documentation submitted to courts or financial institutions to effect such abandonment shall constitute grounds for immediate revocation of all parental or custodial rights and trigger civil and potential criminal liability. I read it twice, then a third time. The words blurred a little. She forged documents, Harlan said quietly. Right after that night, she filed an emergency motion claiming you'd run away voluntarily. Attached a sworn affidavit saying you packed your own bag, left a note, and she'd been searching for days. The court accepted it because you weren't there to contradict her. Grandpa tried to fight it. He had witnesses, neighbors who heard the yelling, even the cop who drove you to his house that night. But the judge ruled it was a domestic matter and closed the file. My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat against the table to stop it. How much? I asked. My voice sounded far away. Harlan exhaled. The trust was valued at just over $2.3 million when your grandfather passed 8 years ago. Most of it was in blue-chip stocks, some real estate, cash reserves. Your mother, as your legal guardian at the time, gained control of your portion, roughly 40%, since it was split between you and your brother Ethan. She liquidated chunks over the years. Paid off the house. Bought Ethan a car when he turned 16. Funded his community college that he never finished. There's maybe $400,000 left in traceable accounts. The rest gone. I stared at the paper like it might bite me. She kicked me out to steal from me, I said. It wasn't a question. Harlan nodded once. That's what the evidence suggests. Grandpa added that clause years earlier because he didn't trust her after your dad died. He suspected she'd married him for the money. Your dad came from old mill money, same as Grandpa. When your dad passed in the car accident, she got life insurance but nothing from the family trust because it was locked for the grandkids. She resented it. Resented you for looking like him. When Grandpa got sick, she saw her chance. I thought about the trash bag, the rain, the way she wouldn't meet my eyes when she said, disappear. Why now? I asked. Why track me down after 21 years? Because she's running out of time. The statute of limitations on fraud is tricky, but the trust has a self-executing provision. If proof of abandonment surfaces, the assets revert automatically, and penalties kick in. She knows I've been looking for you. She's been monitoring public records, social media. Your company made the local business journal last month. Local entrepreneur builds logistics app from scratch. She saw your new last name. Connected the dots. She's desperate. She's planning to file paperwork next week claiming you're mentally unstable, that you abandoned the family again, and that as your next of kin she should control your assets, your company included. I laughed once, short and bitter. My company? It's worth maybe $3 million on a good valuation day. Mostly sweat equity and a small SBA loan. She thinks she can just take it. She thinks she can try. She's already contacted a shady family law attorney. They're building a case around old court records and character witnesses, people she's paid or pressured. Including Ethan. My brother. The kid who used to hide behind her legs when I got in trouble. The one who got new sneakers every year while I wore hand-me-downs from the church bin. Ethan knows. I asked. Harlan hesitated. He's 29 now. He's been living with her. He co-signed some of the withdrawal forms. Whether he knew the full story, I don't know. But he's involved. I leaned back in the booth. The coffee in front of me had gone cold. Outside, cars rolled by under gray February sky. Normal people going to normal jobs. I need proof, I said. Not just your word. I need everything. Harlan pushed the folder toward me. It's all here. Bank statements. Forged affidavits with timestamps that don't match police reports. Witness statements from 2 neighbors who've kept quiet for years, but are willing to talk now that Grandpa's gone and the guilt's eaten them up. And this. He slid out one last page. A grainy photo from 2004, me 11 soaked, standing on Grandpa's porch with a cop's hand on my shoulder. Timestamped 11:42 p.m. The same night she told the court I'd run away at 6 p.m. She lied under oath, he said. Multiple times. If we move fast, we can freeze the remaining assets before she drains them. File for restitution. Possibly even criminal charges. Fraud, perjury, child endangerment. I looked at the photo. My small face, wide eyes, dripping hair. I barely recognized the kid staring back. What do you want from me? I asked. I want you to decide, Harlan said. You can walk away. Let it go. Or we can fight. But if we fight, she'll fight dirty. She'll drag up every mistake you ever made in foster care. Every time you got in trouble as a teen. She'll paint you as the problem child she had to get rid of. I folded the photo carefully and put it in my pocket. Then let her try, I said. I left the coffee shop with the folder tucked under my arm like it was a live grenade. Harlan had given me his card, a burner phone number, and one last piece of advice. Don't confront her yet. She'll deny, deflect, destroy evidence if she panics. Let me file the emergency motion to freeze the accounts first. Give me 48 hours. 48 hours felt like 48 years. I drove home the long way. Past the old neighborhood I hadn't seen since I was a kid. The house still stood at the end of Maple Lane. White siding gone gray, porch swing rusted. Same cracked concrete steps where she'd left me in the rain. A for sale sign leaned crooked in the yard. I slowed but didn't stop. Couldn't. Not yet. Back at my apartment, I spread the documents across the kitchen table. Bank statements showing transfers labeled education expenses that went straight to Ethan's gaming setup and a down payment on his first apartment. Emails between my mother and a shady financial advisor from 2012, discussing how to restructure the trust after Grandpa's death. A scanned copy of the forged runaway note she'd supposedly found. My handwriting, but not my words. Mom, I can't stay here anymore. I'm leaving. Don't look for me. I'd never written anything like that. I'd been too scared to even pack properly. Every page felt like a fresh slap. I thought about calling Ethan. We'd had one awkward Facebook exchange 5 years ago. Him liking a post about my company launch. Me sending a polite thanks and nothing else. He'd commented once, "Proud of you, bro." I'd stared at those 3 words for hours before deleting the notification. Now I wondered if it was guilt or bait. Instead, I opened my laptop and searched his name. Public records popped up fast. Ethan Carter, 29. Address listed as the old house. No steady job history. Odd construction gigs. A brief stint at a car dealership that ended in mutual separation. A DUI from 3 years back, probation completed. And then last month, a civil lien filed against him for unpaid child support. He had a kid? I hadn't even known. The more I dug, the angrier I got. Not the hot, explosive kind. The slow, cold burn that settles in your bones. He'd grown up with everything I didn't. New clothes, birthday parties, college, even if he dropped out. And he'd helped her steal what was supposed to be mine. I closed the laptop. Paced. Tried to sleep. Couldn't. Around 3 a.m. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text. Hey Alex. It's Ethan. Mom said she saw something about you in the paper. You doing okay? We should catch up sometime. Miss having a brother. I stared at the screen until it went dark. Then I typed back one word. When? He replied almost instantly. Tomorrow? Mom's place. Dinner at 7. She's been asking about you. I let the phone sit in my hand for a full minute. Harlan's warning echoed. Don't confront her yet. But this wasn't confrontation. This was reconnaissance. I typed, I'll be there. Sleep didn't come after that. The next evening I pulled up to the house at 6:55. Same porch light on now, dim yellow, flickering like it was on its last bulb. The for sale sign was gone. Maybe they'd taken it down to stage the place. I parked across the street, sat for a minute watching shadows move behind the curtains. Then I got out, walked up the steps and knocked. The door opened before the second knock. Ethan. Taller than I remembered, broader shoulders, same sandy hair but thinning at the temples already. He looked like a softer version of our dad in the old photos Grandpa kept. He smiled too wide too quick. "Alex," he said, stepping forward like he was going to hug me. I put out a hand instead. Firm shake. No embrace. "Come in," he said. "Mom's in the kitchen." The house smelled the same. Lemon cleaner mixed with cigarette smoke she swore she'd quit. Carpet still beige, walls still the same eggshell white. Only difference. Newer furniture, bigger TV, framed photos of Ethan's kid. A little girl with curls, maybe 4 years old. No photos of me. Not one. Linda, my mother, came out wiping her hands on a dish towel. She looked older, thinner, hair dyed too dark. Eyes the same sharp blue though. They flicked over me like she was appraising something she might sell. "Alex," she said. Voice soft, almost sweet. "You came." I nodded. Didn't smile. "Dinner's almost ready," she said. "Sit. We have so much to talk about." We sat at the dining table, same scratched oak one from when I was a kid. Lasagna. Garlic bread. The works. Like nothing had happened. Ethan kept the conversation light. "So logistics app? That's cool, man. You must be killing it." I answered in short sentences. Watched their faces. Noticed how Linda's smile never reached her eyes. How Ethan kept glancing at her for approval. Halfway through the meal she set her fork down. "Alex," she said. "I know I made mistakes. A lot of them. I was young. Scared. Your grandfather's money. It complicated everything. But I never stopped loving you. I want us to be a family again." I looked at her. Really looked. "Then why are you trying to sue me for control of my company next week?" The room went dead quiet. Ethan's fork clattered against his plate. Linda's face didn't change at first. Then the mask cracked, just a flicker. "What are you talking about?" she asked. I pulled the burner phone Harlan had given me from my pocket. Set it on the table. Hit play on the recording I'd started the second I walked in. Harlan's voice filled the silence. "She's planning to file paperwork next week claiming you're mentally unstable." I stopped it. "I know about the trust," I said. "The forgeries. The embezzlement. Grandpa's clause. Everything." Linda stared at the phone like it might explode. Ethan stood up fast. "Alex, you don't understand." "Sit down," I said. "Quiet. Calm." He sat. Linda laughed once, short, brittle. "You think you can just walk in here after 21 years and accuse me? After everything I did for you?" "Everything you did?" I repeated. "You threw an 11-year-old out in a storm, told him to disappear, then stole his inheritance." She leaned forward. "You were always his favorite. Never mine. You looked like your father. Every time I saw you, I saw him. The man who left me nothing but bills and a kid I never wanted." The words landed like punches, but they didn't surprise me. Not anymore. I stood up. "I'm done," I said. As I walked to the door, Ethan grabbed my arm. "Wait," he said. "Please. She's sick. Cancer. That's why she's desperate. The house is going. Insurance won't cover everything. If we lose the trust money." I shook him off. "Then you should have thought about that before you helped her forge documents." I left them standing in the dining room, lasagna getting cold. Outside, rain had started again. Same kind as that night 21 years ago. I got in my car, locked the doors, and finally let myself breathe. Then I called Harlan. "We're doing this," I said. "All of it." The rain followed me all the way back to my apartment. I parked crooked, didn't bother fixing it. Inside, I locked the door, deadbolt and chain, then sat on the floor with my back against it like I was 11 again and waiting for someone to come get me. Except this time no one was coming. I had to come for myself. Harlan answered on the first ring. "I recorded the whole dinner," I told him. "Audio's clean." She admitted the trust complicated things. Ethan tried to play the cancer card. Silence on his end for a beat. Then, "Send it now. Encrypted email. I'll have my paralegal transcribe and timestamp it tonight." That, plus the photo from 2004 and the mismatched affidavit times, gives us probable cause for an emergency asset freeze. I'm filing first thing tomorrow morning, before she can beat us to court. I emailed the file. Then I opened my laptop and transferred every important document I had. Business incorporation papers, bank logins, payroll info, to an encrypted cloud drive Harlan had set up, just in case. Sleep came in fragments. Dreams of the porch, the rain, her face in the doorway. Each time I woke up sweating, checking the locks. Morning arrived gray and cold. Harlan called at 8:42 a.m. Motion filed. Judge granted a temporary restraining order on the remaining trust assets. Nothing moves until we have a hearing. She's been served. Process server just texted me a photo of her signing for it. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in days. She'll come after you next, he warned. Expect calls, texts, maybe showing up at your office. She's cornered. Cornered people bite. He was right. By noon my phone started lighting up. Unknown numbers. Voicemails I didn't listen to. Texts from Ethan. Please call me. She's losing it. This isn't fair. Then from her number. I'd blocked it years ago, but she must have used a different one. You ungrateful little shit. After everything I sacrificed. You think you can destroy me? I'll make sure everyone knows what a liar you are. The courts already believed me once. I saved the screenshots. Didn't reply. At 3 p.m. My assistant buzzed the intercom. Alex, there's a woman here. Says she's your mother. She's insistent. I told her to keep the front door locked and call the police if she wouldn't leave. Then I went down myself. Linda stood on the sidewalk outside the small office building I rented. Coat pulled tight, hair frizzing in the damp air. No makeup. Eyes red. For a second she looked small. Almost broken. When she saw me through the glass door she banged on it. Open up, Alex. We need to talk. I didn't move. She pressed her forehead to the glass. Please. I'm dying. The doctors gave me 6 months. Maybe less. I just want to fix this before it's too late. Cancer. Ethan had said it last night. Part of me wanted to believe it. The kid in me still wanted a mother who cared. But the man I'd become knew better. I cracked the door just enough to speak. You had 21 years to fix it, I said. You chose money instead. Now you're out of choices. She started crying. Real tears or good acting, I couldn't tell anymore. I was scared, she said. Your grandfather controlled everything. I thought if I kept you away I could protect Ethan. Protect us. I was wrong. I know that now. I almost believed her. Almost. Then she added softer. Just sign the papers. Let me have access to what's left. For Ethan's daughter. Your niece. She's 4. She needs stability. There it was. The real play. I closed the door. Locked it. Walked back upstairs without looking back. That night Harlan called again. Bad news. She filed a counter-motion this afternoon. Emergency hearing set for next Thursday. She's claiming you're fabricating evidence out of revenge. Says you have a history of mental instability. Pulled old foster care reports where you had anger issues at 13. She's asking for a psych eval on you and temporary guardianship over your assets until it's resolved. I laughed hollow. She's trying to flip the script, I said. She's desperate, Harlan corrected. But she's also smart. If the judge buys even part of her story, she could tie everything up for months. Your company stock options, revenue accounts, frozen. Payroll could get messy. I rubbed my eyes. What do? We go on offense. I've got a private investigator pulling more financials. Wire transfers she can't explain. One neighbor already signed an affidavit saying she heard you screaming the night you left. We're also subpoenaing Ethan's phone records. If he was texting her instructions during the dinner, that's conspiracy. I nodded even though he couldn't see me. And me. I asked. You show up to the hearing. Clean. Calm. Tell the truth. The judge will see the forged documents don't match reality. But you need to be ready, she'll attack your character. Hard. I thought about the kid on the porch. The one who walked 3 miles in socks. I've been ready for 21 years, I said. Thursday came fast. Courtroom smelled like old wood and coffee. I wore the same button-down from the coffee shop meeting. Harlan beside me in his gray suit. Linda sat across the aisle with her lawyer, a slick guy in a pinstripe who looked like he specialized in messy divorces. Ethan wasn't there. Probably watching the kid. The judge. A woman in her 60s, no nonsense, called the case. Linda's lawyer stood first. Started with the runaway affidavit. The note. My supposed history of instability. Then it was our turn. Harlan presented the timeline. The 2004 police photo. Bank records. The will clause. When he showed the forged note side by side with a real sample of my 11-year-old handwriting from a school assignment Grandpa had saved, the judge's eyebrows rose. Linda stared straight ahead. No tears now. The judge asked her to explain the discrepancies. Linda stood. Voice steady at first. I did what I thought was best for my family. Then she looked at me. And he's still punishing me for it. The judge cut her off. Counsel approach. They talked at the bench. Low voices. Papers passed. When they returned, the judge spoke. I'm granting the asset freeze extension. Setting a full evidentiary hearing in 30 days. In the meantime, no distributions from the trust. And Mrs. Carter, consider this your only warning. If I find evidence of perjury or fraud, I will refer this to the district attorney. Linda's face went white. As we left the courthouse, she caught up to me on the steps. Alex, she whispered. You win. Okay. Just don't take the house. It's all we have left. I stopped. Looked at her. You took everything from me when I was 11, I said. Now you're asking me to leave you something? She didn't answer. I walked away. That night, another text from Ethan. She's packing. Says she's leaving town before the next hearing. Don't do this, man. She's all I've got. I stared at the message. Then I typed back. She's all you've got because you let her be. I blocked the number. The 30 days between the temporary ruling and the full evidentiary hearing felt like walking on a tightrope over broken glass. Every morning I checked my email for updates from Harlan, half expecting a bomb to drop. Every night I double-checked the locks. Even though I knew she wasn't the type to show up with a knife, she preferred paper cuts and court filings. My company kept running, but the uncertainty bled into everything. Payroll cleared on time, but my assistant started asking quiet questions. Everything okay, boss? I told her it was family stuff. She didn't push. Good people don't. Harlan sent regular updates. The private investigator had dug up more. A wire transfer from the trust account to a real estate agent in Florida, dated 2 months after Grandpa died, supposedly for investment property. No property ever materialized. Another chunk went to a luxury car dealership the same year Ethan turned 18. The neighbor's affidavit was solid. She'd recorded a phone call with Linda years ago where Linda bragged about finally getting what was owed after I was gone. We were building a fortress of evidence. But fortresses can still fall. 10 days before the hearing, Harlan called at 7 a.m. His voice was tight. Ethan just contacted my office. Wants to meet. Says he has something you need to see. Off the record. Alone. I didn't hesitate. Set it up. We met at a park bench near the river. Neutral ground, public but quiet. Ethan arrived in a beat-up pickup, same one from the old photos on his social media. He looked smaller than at dinner. Tired. Bags under his eyes. He sat without looking at me at first. I didn't know the full story, he started. Not at first. Mom told me you ran away because you hated us. That you blamed me for Dad dying or something. I was 8. I believed her. I stayed quiet. Let him talk. When you showed up at dinner, I saw your face. Same look you had when we were kids and she'd yell at you for nothing. I started asking questions. She got mad. Said I was betraying her. Then last week she told me the truth. About the trust. The forgeries. Everything. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. Thick. Sealed. She's planning to run, he said. Tonight. She's got fake IDs, cash from selling her jewelry. She thinks if she disappears before the hearing, the judge will rule in absentia and you'll get nothing. Or she'll fight from somewhere else. Mexico, maybe. I took the envelope. Opened it. Inside. Copies of plane tickets to Cancun. One way. Her name. Tomorrow's date. Bank statement showing a new account in the Caymans, small but growing. And a handwritten letter from her to Ethan, dated last week. If Alex wins, we lose the house, the car, everything. I can't go to prison. You have your daughter to think about. Help me get out. Burn this after you read it. I folded the letter carefully. Why are you giving me this? I asked. Ethan looked at the river. Because she's my mom. But you're my brother. And I've spent my whole life pretending I didn't see what she did to you. I'm done pretending. He met my eyes then. There's more. She's got a safety deposit box at First National. Grandpa's original will. The real one, not the copy she filed. She kept it in case she needed leverage someday. Box 417. Keys at the house, under the loose floorboard in her closet. Same place she hid Christmas presents when we were kids. I stared at him. If I give you this, he said, she'll never forgive me. But if I don't, I'll never forgive myself. I didn't thank him. Not yet. Trust doesn't rebuild in one conversation. I'll handle it, I said. But if this is a setup. It's not. He stood. Tell the lawyer. Get a subpoena fast. And Alex. I'm sorry. For all of it. He walked away without looking back. I called Harlan from the car. He didn't waste words. I'm drafting an emergency motion for access to the safety deposit box. We'll need a court order, but with the plane tickets and the letter, I can get an ex parte hearing this afternoon. If the original will is there, and it matches what we have, it's game over for her. By 4 p.m. the order was granted. Harlan, a sheriff's deputy, and I went to the bank together. Linda wasn't home. She'd already started packing, according to Ethan's last text. The box opened with a soft click. Inside, the original will. Grandpa's signature bold and unmistakable. A USB drive labeled Evidence, 2004. And a small notebook Linda's handwriting. Entries from the weeks after I left. Filed runaway motion today. Judge bought it. Trust access granted next month. Sold first shares $50,000. Ethan needs braces. Alex tried to call from shelter. Hung up on him. Page after page. A confession in ink. Harlan photographed everything. The deputy sealed the box as evidence. That night, Linda's flight was flagged at the airport. She was pulled from the gate before boarding. Arrested on fraud and perjury warrants. Ethan texted me once more. She's in custody. I'm taking my daughter and moving out of state. I'll testify if you need me to. No more running. I didn't reply right away. But the next morning I sent one message. Thank you. The evidentiary hearing never happened. With the original will, the notebook, the tickets, and her attempted flight, the DA took over. Charges: grand larceny, forgery, child endangerment, insurance fraud on the trust disbursements. Linda pled to lesser charges to avoid a full trial. 3 years probation, full restitution, permanent loss of any claim to the trust or my assets. The house sold to cover part of what she owed. Ethan got supervised visitation with his daughter and started therapy. I got the trust remainder, about $380,000 after penalties and interest kicked in per Grandpa's clause. Plus the satisfaction of seeing the truth finally written in black and white. But money wasn't the win. The win was standing in front of her at the plea hearing. She looked small in the orange jumpsuit. No tears this time. Just quiet. When the judge asked if she had anything to say, she looked at me. I'm sorry, she said. Voice barely above a whisper. I chose wrong. Every day after that night. I didn't say anything back. Some apologies come too late to fix what's broken. But they can still close the door. I walked out of that courtroom lighter than I'd felt in 21 years. The weeks after Linda's plea hearing passed in a strange kind of quiet. No more frantic calls from unknown numbers. No texts from Ethan begging for mercy. No process servers showing up at my door. Just the slow, ordinary business of living without the shadow of that old porch light hanging over every decision. The restitution check arrived in the mail on a Tuesday. $412,000 in change. After taxes, penalties, and the court's cut for administrative fees. I stared at the amount on the deposit slip for a long time before I deposited it. It wasn't life-changing in the lottery winner sense. My company was already profitable. This was more like back pay for 21 years of missed childhood. Still, it felt heavy. Like money that carried ghosts. I didn't spend it right away. Instead, I set up 2 trusts of my own. One for Ethan's daughter, my niece I'd never met. Anonymous through Harlan's firm. Enough for college, therapy if she ever needed it. A cushion so she never felt the panic of not knowing where the next meal came from. The second went to a small nonprofit in the city that helps older foster kids transition to independence. GED programs, job training, first apartments. I named it after Grandpa, the Elias Reed Foundation. Simple. No fanfare. Harlan called when the paperwork cleared. You didn't have to give any of it away, he said. I know, I replied. But keeping it all felt like letting her win in a different way. Like proving I was just as greedy. He was quiet for a moment. You're a better man than most would be in your shoes. I didn't feel better. I felt even. Balanced. Like the scales had finally tipped back to center. 3 months later I got a letter. Not email. Actual paper. Postmarked from a women's correctional facility 2 counties over. Linda had violated probation, minor thing, failed a drug test, and was serving the last 6 months of a reduced sentence in county jail. The letter was short. Neat handwriting, no frills. Alex, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know I read every page of the court file. Saw the notebook they found in the box. Saw what I wrote. I don't remember writing some of it, but I know it's true. I hated myself more than I hated you, and I took it out on the one person who never deserved it. Ethan visits when he can. He brought pictures of his girl. She looks like you did at 4 big eyes, serious face. I told him to tell her about her uncle someday. The one who made something good out of nothing. If you ever want to talk, I'll listen. No excuses. Just listening. Linda. I read it twice. Folded it. Put it in the drawer with the old police photo from that rainy night. Didn't throw it away. Didn't burn it. Just let it sit there. I didn't write back. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But the door wasn't slammed shut anymore. It was cracked just enough for air. Summer came. I took my first real vacation in years. Not Hawaii or some flashy resort. A small cabin on the same lake Grandpa used to take me fishing. Same rickety dock. Same smell of pine and water. I sat on the end of the dock at sunrise with a thermos of coffee and Grandpa's old fly rod. Didn't catch anything worth keeping. Didn't care. While I was there, Ethan called. First time since the park bench. I answered. Hey, he said. Voice careful. Hey. Silence stretched for a few seconds. She's getting out next month, he said. I'm not moving back in with her. Got a 2-bedroom near my job. Kids starting kindergarten. I'm trying to do better. Good, I said. Another pause. I'm sorry doesn't cover it, he continued. But I am. For believing her. For not looking for you sooner. For everything after. I watched a fish rise near the reeds. I know. I'd like to see you sometime, he said. Not to ask for anything. Just to see you. If you ever want. I thought about it. Really thought. Maybe, I said. Someday. He didn't push. Okay. Whenever you're ready. We hung up. I stayed on the dock until the sun was high and the mosquitoes started biting. When I got back to the city, I made one change. I hung a small framed photo on the wall above my desk. Not of Linda. Not of Ethan. Of me at 11. Wet hair, scared eyes, standing on Grandpa's porch with the cop's hand on my shoulder. Timestamp still visible in the corner. I look at it every morning now. Reminder that the kid who walked 3 miles in socks made it anyway. Built something. Survived. And chose not to become the person who hurt him. Some nights I still dream about the door slamming. The light going out. But the dreams don't end there anymore. They keep going past the rain, past the shelters, past the courtrooms. They end here. In a quiet apartment. With a company that pays people fairly. With a foundation named for the man who never gave up on me. With the possibility, small, fragile, of family that isn't built on lies. I don't know if I'll ever sit across from Linda again. Or hug Ethan like a brother should. Or meet my niece and tell her stories about the grandpa she never knew. But I know one thing for certain. She hid the truth for 21 years. I lived it. And I won anyway. 1 year to the day after Linda's plea hearing, I stood on the same cracked concrete porch where it all began. The house was sold 6 months ago. New owners had painted the siding a soft gray, planted tulips along the walkway, replaced the rusty swing with a wooden bench. It looked almost peaceful. Almost like a normal family lived there now. I wasn't trespassing. The new owner, a young couple with a toddler, had seen me standing across the street a few times over the past months. One afternoon the husband waved me over, asked if I used to live here. I told him the short version. He listened without pity, just nodded, then asked if I wanted to see the inside one last time before they finished renovations. I said yes. The living room still had the same oak floors, though they'd sanded out the scratches. The kitchen smelled of fresh paint instead of lemon cleaner and cigarettes. My old bedroom was now a nursery. Crib in the corner, soft blue walls, mobile of stars spinning slowly above it. I stood in the doorway longer than I meant to. The wife noticed. "You okay?" she asked quietly. "Yeah," I said. "Just remembering." She didn't press. Just handed me a glass of water and let me wander. When I left, I thanked them. They told me to come back anytime. I probably wouldn't, but knowing the door was open without conditions felt like something shifting inside me. Back in the city, life had settled into a rhythm I never thought I'd have. The company hit a new milestone. Expanded to 3 states, hired 20 more people. We started a paid internship program specifically for foster youth aging out of the system. I mentored a few myself. One kid, 17, reminded me of me at that age, quiet, guarded, smart as hell. He called me boss like it was a title of respect. I told him to call me Alex. He still calls me boss. Ethan and I talk now. Not every week, not like nothing happened, but real conversations. He moved to a small town an hour north with his daughter Mia. She's 5 now. Last summer he sent a photo. Mia holding up a drawing of a man fishing on a dock. "Uncle Alex," she'd written in wobbly letters. I framed it. It's on the shelf next to Grandpa's fly rod. We met once, neutral ground, park with a playground. Mia ran up, hugged my leg like she'd known me forever. Ethan stood back, hands in pockets, watching. When she dragged me to the swings, he finally spoke. "She asks about you," he said. "I tell her you're the one who made good things happen even when it was hard." I pushed Mia on the swing higher than she expected. She laughed loud, fearless. For a second I felt what it might have been like to have a normal childhood sibling moment. No anger. No guilt. Just the sound of a kid laughing. Linda got out of jail 4 months ago. She lives in a halfway house now, works part-time at a laundromat. Ethan says she's sober, going to meetings, keeping her head down. She hasn't tried to contact me directly since the letter. I haven't reached out either. But 2 weeks ago, a small package arrived at my office. No return address. Inside, a single photo, me at 4 sitting on Grandpa's lap, both of us grinning at the camera. On the back, in her handwriting, "I kept this. Thought you should have it." I didn't throw it away. Added it to the drawer with the other things I'm not ready to look at every day but can't let go of yet. Therapy helps. Twice a month. No magic fixes, just steady work. My therapist says forgiveness isn't forgetting or excusing. It's deciding the past doesn't get to rent space in your head anymore. Some days I believe her. Some days the porch still feels wet under my socks. Last month I took Mia and Ethan to the lake. Same dock. Same sunrise. I taught her how to cast the fly rod. Her little hands clumsy, line tangling everywhere. She giggled when it splashed her face. Ethan watched from the shore, arms crossed, small smile on his face. When the sun was fully up, Mia ran off to chase minnows. Ethan walked over. "Thanks for this," he said. I nodded. She deserves good memories. He looked at the water. "You think we'll ever be normal?" I thought about it. Maybe not normal, but better. That's enough. He clapped me on the shoulder once, brief, awkward, real. We didn't hug. We didn't need to. I drove home that evening with the windows down, radio low, the smell of lake water still on my skin. For the first time in 22 years, the road didn't feel like running away from something. It felt like going toward whatever came next. She hid the truth for 21 years. I lived it, fought for it, gave parts of it away so it couldn't poison anyone else. And somewhere along the way I stopped being the kid on the porch. I became the man who built his own light. And turned it on. 18 months after the plea hearing, I received a single text from an unknown number. No greeting. Just an address and a time. Coffee shop on Maple and 5th. 11 a.m. Saturday. I'll be in the same booth. No lawyer. No recording. Just me. It was Linda's handwriting. I recognized the slight slant from the letter and the notebook. She must have asked Ethan for my new number. Or maybe she'd kept an old one and waited until she thought I might answer. I stared at the message for 2 days. Saturday morning I drove there anyway. The coffee shop hadn't changed. Same burnt espresso smell, same chipped mugs, same booth by the window where Harlan first showed me the will. She was already sitting there when I walked in. Gray coat folded over the back of the chair, hair shorter now, streaked with more white than dye could hide. A black coffee in front of her untouched. No purse. No phone on the table. Hands folded like she was trying not to fidget. I slid in across from her without speaking. She looked up. Eyes the same blue but duller. Tired in a way that went bone deep. You came, she said quietly. I'm here, I corrected. Doesn't mean I came for you. She nodded once. Took a slow breath. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she started. I'm not even asking you to listen. But I've been carrying this for so long it's starting to crush me. And I figured, if I'm going to die with it, at least let it be said out loud to the one person it matters to. I didn't interrupt. Just waited. That night, she said, I told myself it was for Ethan. That if you were gone, the trust money would stay safe for him. That you were old enough to handle yourself. Lies I told myself so I could sleep. But the truth is uglier. I hated seeing your father in your face every day. Every time you smiled, every time you asked for something simple like new shoes or a hug, it reminded me he left me with nothing but debt, and a kid I didn't plan. I blamed you for existing, for making me feel small. So I made you disappear. Not just from the house, from my life, from the money, from everything. Her voice cracked once. She swallowed it down. I kept telling myself you'd be fine. Kids are resilient. You'd forget. But you didn't forget. And I didn't either. Every time the bank statement came, every time Ethan got something new, I felt it like a stone in my chest getting heavier. When you showed up at dinner that night, I saw the man you became. Not broken. Not begging. Just done with me. And it finally hit me what I'd stolen. Not just money. Time. Safety. A mother. She looked out the window at the cars passing. Rain starting again, soft patter on the glass. I don't expect anything from you, she continued. I don't deserve it. But I needed to say it. Out loud. To your face. I'm sorry, Alex. For the porch. For the lies. For the years I let greed and hate decide who my son was allowed to be. I was wrong. Completely, unforgivably wrong. Silence stretched between us. Not angry. Just empty in a clean way. I finally spoke. I spent a long time wanting you to say those words. Then I spent longer realizing they wouldn't fix anything. The damage is done. The kid who walked away that night doesn't live here anymore. I built something else. A life. People who depend on me. A niece I'm starting to know. A brother who's trying. Even if it's late, even if it's messy. I leaned forward slightly. But hearing it, it closes something. Not everything. Just that last door I kept cracked in case you ever tried to walk through it honestly. She nodded slowly. A single tear slipped down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. I'm moving to a small apartment upstate next month, she said. Ethan's helping. He's doing better. Mia's doing better. I'm trying to stay sober. One day at a time. If you ever want to know how they're doing, Ethan has my number. No pressure. I stood up. I'll think about it, I said. And I meant it. Not yes. Not no. Just possible. She didn't ask me to stay. Didn't reach for me. Just watched as I walked to the door. Outside, the rain had picked up. I stood under the awning for a minute, letting it soak the shoulders of my jacket. Then I walked to my car, got in and drove. Not away from her this time. Just forward. That evening I called Ethan. Hey, I said when he answered. Mia still like that playground with the big slide? He laughed, small, surprised. Yeah. Every weekend. Pick a Saturday, I said. I'll bring coffee. And maybe that old fishing rod Grandpa left me. She might like trying it. Silence on his end. Then softly. She'd love that. I hung up. Looked at the framed photo on my desk. The 11-year-old me on Grandpa's porch, scared but still standing. I smiled at it. Small. Real. She hid the truth for 21 years. I carried it longer than she ever did. But I didn't let it bury me. I turned it into something else. A life. Family I chose. A light that stays on. And that finally was enough.